Fresh news.
Yeah,
Nice to have you here.
pleasure.
Alongside Inyene in house.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, colleague.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so today we begin with the first news. The federal government has released another batch of 23 individuals who allegedly looted the nation's treasury, most of whose cases are still in court. This follows an earlier list containing 5 alleged looters. In the list released by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, were former service chiefs, ministers, governors, serving federal lawmakers, as well as top bureaucrats and business tycoons. According to him, the federal government has a large number of alleged looters on its list. It's actually a very interesting list. We have former NSA Sabo Dasuki, based on EFCC investigations and findings alone, that this is beside the ongoing $2.1 billion military equipment scandal. There's a total of 126 billion, over $1.5 billion and 5.5 million British pounds was allegedly embezzled through his office. That's just one. There's former Petroleum Resources Minister Desani Alisa Maduke. Um, the list goes on and on. Really,
I
I
thought
mean, like you said, there are 23. So, but quite interesting names, I must say. Here we have the former Niger State Governor Babangida Ali with 1.6 billion naira from NSA, and Senator Jonah Jang, former Plateau State Governor, 12.5 billion naira. Okay. Now, this lists out, and interestingly, though, I mean, a little clause I found there, some of the cases are still in court. I do not understand why it's out here for everybody in the public. Are we supposed to have this come out this way for starters? Desmond.
Okay, is it okay? All right. I think there's been this argument of whether or not they should have released this list all along, but it also got to a point that it does look like the APC as a party was pushed into releasing the list. Haven't always come out to say they are still fighting corruption. Corruption in the last administration has hindered their progress in terms of delivering on their progress. I mean, their promises they made during the last electoral campaign. Um, People have been asking them, you forget about the past, you move on. I think at that point they were compelled to start releasing the list. When they made available the first five names, some people also said, "Oh, are these the only names?" And you have been shouting all along that you are fighting corruption in this country. Oh, we thought you could do better than this. And now they have gone ahead to release about 23 others. I still want to believe that there are more others that they want to release. Now the question is, should you release this name now or not? I think we can debate this for a very long time. Maybe the lawyers will be able to give us a better insight into this. Are we not judging these people ahead of maybe them being prosecuted and sentenced by the court? Because as it is in the legal parlance, you are innocent until proven guilty. If they call you a looter, that means a tag is already on you. Is that tag going to be removed if you are found not guilty in court? Is something you might not be able to do.
Well, the names have been circulated.
Yes,
nationwide.
in a lifetime. But again, if they are very sure that their facts are right, that maybe it's presented as people who are currently tried or being tried for alleged cases of corruption, there might not be much of an issue around that because most of them have been taken to court. If you look at Desiani and Alice Madueke, so much has been said about her because she's in court, and some properties have also been recovered from her. Sambo Dasuki is also in court. But some people are also questioning the merit of the cases filed against them. That Sambo has been in court, in their custody for about 3 years now, and nothing has actually been achieved in terms of his prosecution. Could it be they don't have substantive evidence against Sambo Dasuki? That is why he's still being heard for this very long period. All of these questions just keep bubbling up, and we might not be able to resolve these puzzles in a very short while.
Yeah.
Well, the federal government has tried to respond to sort of yearnings of Nigerians who have been clamoring for this list to be made open, especially considering the fact that the government's stance has been anti-graft right from day one. And so Nigerians expected them to come out with a lot of transparency, show how much they are doing in the fight against corruption. And eventually it translated to the release of these names. Now, just as my colleague has pointed out, where I tend to find the whole saga rather disturbing is the fact that most of these matters are already in court. In the sense that they are facing trial and you are coming out to describe them or label them as looters when such cases have not been concluded. We wouldn't know whether the courts are going to discharge and acquit them at the end of the day. So what happens if that turns out to be the verdict? How do you get to remove that particular tag on them as looters? I thought the federal government, what it should have done to be on the safer side would have been probably to come out and say, based on investigations, ongoing investigations by anti-graft agencies, these are the number of people that are currently undergoing investigation. So list them out. Not tagging them as looters anyway.
So they should come under allegations.
Yes, it's according to the anti-graft agencies. These are the persons that are currently being investigated. And so far, based on the report presented by these anti-graft agencies, these are the sums of money allegedly,
being looted by
these looted according to the anti-graft agencies.
Maybe they are saving us all that grammar of the based on blah 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 investigations of the
but
agency.
then
but what is the downside? Is there a downside to this?
There is, because people are still complaining. Now, if you go through the list painstakingly, you find out that majority of them are those who belong in the past administration. You get. So Nigerians are still asking.
They have actually said now, before now, that many of them did that. I mean, many of people in the past administration.
Of course, yes.
And party. So is
now,
it surprising to see that many of them are from the opposing party?
I'm not surprised to see that many of them are from the opposing party. But what is bothering me is the fact that currently we've had incidences, we've had allegations where people are saying those within the administration, the current administration, have had their fingers allegedly soiled.
And yet the names are not part of the
history. Yes, such names are supposed to be part of that.
But because they are under a different...
So for me, I think if you go around, it all smacks of, some... At the end of the day, it might even have a negative impact on the fight against corruption.
Well, let me just add something to that. Fighting corruption in Nigeria has always been like this. I'm not surprised. Maybe not really on paper. In terms of how it is perceived that the opposition is being witch-hunted, I will take us back to when Obasanjo was the president of this country between 1999 and 2007. You'll recall that he actually started all of these fights against corruption, having also came into power on a very popular verdict, as it were. He set up the ICPC and the EFCC. He declared a very massive war against corruption, just like the present administration is doing. And the twilight of his government, a list of looters was also released. You can still remember that list, where you have people like Otumba Fasha, where you have people like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, late Prince Audu Abubakar, and a whole lot of persons were there. And part of the cries then was that all the people that are here are either in opposition party or the people that were within the party but have fallen out with the current president, as it then was President Olusegun Obasanjo. So are we not seeing a replay of such again at the moment? It's something that Nigerians just have to say. Then there was a white paper that was released. That is where my fear lies. There was a white paper that was released after that investigative, as it were, a compilation, a report was given. There was a white paper that was released, and they attempted to ban all of those politicians and their cohorts, as it were, from contesting. So one of the things most Nigerians saw through that then was that it was an attempt to stop some of those politicians from contesting or participating in any election. And of course, what then happened? They went to court and a verdict was given. And that verdict, which was gotten by, I think, Otumba Fashawe of Mofas Industries, the company you can still remember was deeply involved in the NTDC contract Wahala. He got that verdict in Lagos. And because judgments like that are in rem according to legal usage, it covers every other person that is mentioned in a case like that. At the end of the day, that report and a white paper was washed or were washed away. So are we not going to see a replay of that? I hope we do better this time around.
Okay. I'm hoping that many Nigerians are hoping that as well. Besides, the mantra for this present government is changed, so perhaps things will change differently. Well, before we continue, let's go on this commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
Comedians, one mic, now which day? Now Easter Monday. Oh yeah, arrange your vocal cavity. Make you come laugh inside Night of African Comedy with Eneche Osama, Sidi, Funny G, Mazi Prosper, Edo Pikin, MC 3310, Young Messiah, Aristotle, Funny Mike, Mr. Ode, and many more. The date now Easter Monday will be the 2nd of April 2018. Time now 5 o'clock in the evening. Venue now inside the Summit Bible Church, where they between Games Village and Prince and Princess Estate inside Abuja. Get fee now free. Ngwanu, for more information, make you call 080-3506-1771. Night of African Comedy. No night to remember.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are reminded of the need to be law-abiding, especially in areas of road use and illegal squatting. Please note that the Ministerial Joint Task Force is mandated to ensure that the existing ban on the use of unpainted vehicles as commercial taxis is enforced, and that of minibuses and coasters alike. To ensure that a complete ban on the use of motorcycles as means of transportation within the capital city center is enforced. To ensure the restriction of tricycles, keke to estates and designated areas within and around the capital city center. To ensure the eradication of the activities of commercial sex workers in the city. To ensure the eradication of other public nuisance such as drug trafficking, peddling, and removal of all illegal shanties and squatters. To rid the city of illegal motor parks and bus stops within the capital city. Let us together build an FCT of our dreams. Those arrested will be prosecuted. Be law-abiding.
Farmers plus header people. It good make we hear what the minister for FCT, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello talk. Him tell all the people that where they carry cow walk up and down. Make them for go settle for where government give them for grazing for inside FCT. This go help reduce them suffer head to walk up and down. It go day easy for government to feel support them. Make we say no to kili. Bonu plus scatter. The society need headers plus farmers. So make food for them for we obodo for all of us to chop. Make headers no enter people farmland. Farmers, report anybody when no one hear word. Make it for hearing way. Make anybody no put the law for them handle. Make we come together to build peace. Now Federal Capital Territory Administration they bring from this message.
Hukumar kula da babban birnin tarayya Abuja na jawo hankalin Fulani makiyaya cewa ya zama wajibi da su bi kiran ministan babban birnin tarayya Malam Muhammadu Musa Bello da su rungumi zama a wuraren da aka keɓe musu don kiwo a yankin domin rage wahalhalun da ke tattare da yadda suke yin sana'arsu a yankin. Zama a wuraren da aka keɓe don kiwo zai kawo musu sauki musamman ta fannin yawan tashi da barin matsuguni domin cirani, kuma zai baiwa gwamnati daman samun su cikin sauki don taimaka musu da ababen da suke bukata kamar al'amuran da suka shafi likitocin da da ke kula da dabbobi. Ilahirin al'umma na buƙatar makiyaya da manoma domin samun wadatan kayan abinci. Makiyaya a kula da hanyoyin da aka ƙayyade domin ku a babban birnin tarayya, a kauce ma shiga gonaki. Manoma kuma a bada rahoton duk wanda ya keta wannan dokan. Kar wani ko wasu al'umma su ɗauki doka a hannunsu. Mu haɗa hannu domin samar da wanzuwar zaman lafiya a tsakaninmu. Wannan sako ne daga hukumar kula da babban birnin tarayya Abuja, wato FCTA.
agwo anakwo kan ba filo ele FCT ele na Abuja ege owe minister o be dafe ege yola ba gwa ka hwe hwa hwe hwa anakwo na ba na tabe je gugbo ba kunsun na hwani hwa japma ege na nakwo zokwe na ya hwe ele FCT na Abuja nu adabe je anyawu kunsun na hwani hukuma ele FCT ele na Abuja ba ya hwani lo ba ye anakwo kan ilo mba na hedo na hwani bodo na anakwo kan hwe jina ba hwe aku ye hukuma aku sasaji akuko dada agwo anakwo kan hwe to lo ahwanu zokon ahwani hwetelo agozoko na gaba na baba kamba na kochon hwebe ya na bwado na ba ya mwaiki ago na hwani hwesase na je lafiya LFCT na Abuja bade kwen kwakun ege LFCT minister Malam Mohammed Musa Bello.
bandaɓe waynaɓe fulɓe ɗum nangi noto e noddago ministajo lamorde lesdi ndi mouhamadou moussa bello dow waynaɓe fulɓe nattitoade durduɗe ɓe nokkana to lamorde lesdi ndi nde abuja hakkude mabɓe remoɓe ɗum heɓa jonde jaam e ɗawta risque takanas to ɓe keeɓi ɓe joɗake ndebi guere nattuki nde ladde wallira kadi gomnati heɓa waɗanaɓe ko handi waɗanaɓe to jaamo mabɓe e nanta dabbaji mabɓe bandiraɓe to en jaaɓu tawe en kaɓa hakkude meɗen e remoɓe ɓe nde fina allah fo leñol lesdi ndi e giɗi gaynako e giɗi demowo gin jonde jaam e jahargal yesso risque mayri bandiraɓe waynaɓe jaaɓe jooɗo en to darduɗe ɗe e lamorde lesdi ndi abuja nokkani e gam jahargal yesso hakkude meɗen e remoɓe to komo fuu jaɓa nangguire aybe ɗe handaki en fu meɗen en kawtu koɓe gui rastinki resku lamorde lesdi ndi abuja lilal ɗon ngal ardungal lamorde lesdi ndi abuja lildani en.
Comedians, one mic, now which day? Now Easter Monday. Oh yeah, arrange your vocal cavity. Make you come laugh inside Night of African Comedy with Eneche, Osama, Sidi, Funny G, Mazi Prosper, Edo Pikin, MC 3310, Young Messiah, Aristotle, Funny Mike, Mr. Ode, and many more. The date now Easter Monday will be the 2nd of April 2018. Time now 5 o'clock in the evening. Venue now inside the Summit Bible Church where they between James Village and Prince and Princess Estate inside Abuja. Get fee now free. Ngwanu for more information make you call 080-3506-1771. Night of African Comedy. No night to remember.
This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
As the fourth estate of the realm, the media stands as the watchman of the nation. On Media Lab, we dissect the news items of the day through the men and women that bring the news to you to give you the full story. Media Lab, airing exclusively on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
Thank you for staying with us. Media Lab continues. It's 11:30. My name is Ruth, and I've been speaking with my colleagues. Inyene is here, and also Desmond Utove. I hope I got that name correctly. Okay, so he's from Fresh News, which is an online newspaper. So, okay, this is a follow-up to the first story, talking about the release of extra 23 names of looters by federal government. Now, a Lagos-based rights group, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged the authorities to withdraw the looters list and come up with a comprehensive list as ordered by Justice Hadiza Shagari last year. Otherwise, it would seem to serve a political objective or, at best, carry out a political agenda. SERAP Executive Director Adetokunbo Mumuni, who described the list as clumsy, arbitrary, and selective, said it could weaken the government's fight against corruption. Do you think so? Do you think it's stands a chance of weakening the government's fight against corruption? In what way?
Okay, I'll go this way. Maybe I'll just play the devil's advocate, if you don't mind. Whatever you do, somebody's going to talk. Somebody's going to say something. Like I was saying earlier on, when it happened in the previous government, everybody cried foul. And what the government said was that at least we are starting from somewhere. If we have investigated and prosecuted these people, maybe when we are no longer there, you can also come and investigate us and prosecute us. But do we really want to keep moving in that circle? I'm not sure that is what we want. If we are fighting corruption, let's fight corruption head on. If we are not fighting it, let it not be a political vendetta. So let's fight corruption the way it should be fought. Perhaps this is also the list that the government has been able to really ascertain, as it were. Maybe when they confirm the rest, they will also release it. Since we have first batch, second batch now, there might also be a supplementary list. So we are still expecting more to come forth.
What do they call the other list?
Supplementary list.
You know, aside that, there's like another special one like this for... Not that, VCs, yeah, the VCs. Okay. Wow, this is interesting. So what do you think about...
In this instance, I wonder which is the VCs list.
Maybe it's still coming.
Still on the way. Anyway, matter of fact, seriously speaking, I think the Minister of Information and Culture did point out that they have quite an inexhaustive list ahead. So I still expect more to come out. But I think the interesting part of it will be when we start having a balance. You know, my colleague just said something about one administration coming in to like hound the others, and then Nigerians perceiving that it's just fighting this war only one-sided, that's being selective. If we continue in that vicious circle, then the fight against corruption can never have a headway. So, but what Serap is saying essentially is that I want to like lend my voice to that as well, because the Honorable Justice Shagari did give a ruling sometime last year, ordering the federal government through the office of the AGF and Minister of Justice to publish a comprehensive list of looters, how much they allegedly looted, when and how, and also tell us how much has been recovered so far.
Okay, this one is not comprehensive in that regard. I mean, we have figures. I mean, one person has like different amount of money for a particular period that money was allegedly stolen. Is that not comprehensive enough? Or we want where the money is being stashed?
Yes. And then, of course, when you talk about comprehensive, a lot of persons who are suspected or perceived, you understand, to have dipped their hand into the public till had crossed over to the ruling party today. And so many Nigerians are asking the question, how come their name did not show up in the list?
They'll come in the VC list, yeah? Like
right?
Perhaps they will come.
Okay, the minister said that this is just a teaser. He said this is a teaser. Okay. So I expect it should come. Because Nigerians would expect this list to be balanced. And truth be told, if we continue playing it like this, then I think the entire objective of the administration might be defeated. Because corruption needs to be fought to the roots. If we don't do that, then it will just amount to a kind of window dressing.
I want to also.
Okay, before you add that though, what if they had started from home, from the ruling party? If it has started from within, will it be different?
In politics,
are we going to have these concerns?
Charity does not begin at
Did
home.
you hear that? In politics, Nigeria politics, that is.
Yeah, but that's just on a lighter side. But then I think the president has also done some things to actually show that he doesn't also want to tolerate corruption within. Yeah, we recall that the recent removal of 3 key persons from his government, the SGF, which is like the number 3 person within the executive. After the president, the vice president, the number 3 person is the SGF. He was recently relieved of his appointment and replaced by Boss Mustafa. And we saw the IOK, who was also the DGNIA, was also removed for his links to the money that was stashed in what do you call it, the Ikoyi house. Then we also have the former amnesty boss, Paul Buru, was also removed from office. And I want to believe that these are some steps that have been taken by the government to sanitize its government from within. What Nigerians are clamoring for, however, is that it is not enough to just send these people packing from your government. You also need to prosecute them. Let us see that you're giving them the same treatment which you are giving to people from the opposition. Shehu Sani, one of the very, very vibrant, well, he has not spared the government when he has to criticize the government, has said that you do not fight corruption with perfume, all right? And you do that with insecticide when it has to do with the opposition. So I think that is one thing that is also attracting the attention of most Nigeria. But wherever you start from, corruption must be fought. My question is, where and who actually determines the comprehensive list? Where are we going to start from, and where are we going to end when we talk about the comprehensive list? Is it the people that looted within this past 3 years? If there are, is it those that looted within the 16 years of the PDP administration? Or are we looking at the 5 years of Goodluck Jonathan? Are we looking at, even from 1960, we've had different reports on looting in this country. Don't forget, even the former military president, there was a report on him, the Okibo report, which gathered dust in the shelf in government, and after a while, I think it disappeared from the shelf. So we've been having all of this probe. What about the people that served under Abacha? Abacha himself did not, in quote, loot all the money that were said to have been stashed abroad all by himself. There were people that worked with him and for him. So what has happened to those people? Could it be because Abacha died? That was the only reason we could actually move against Abacha. What about if Abacha was still alive, like it's the people that worked under him and for him then? Would he have been also prosecuted or maybe investigated and money recovered from him? We've not really seen that happen with past presidents.
So you're saying they should actually go as far back as...
If we want to fight corruption, we go after everybody that has been perceived or seen to have looted in one way or the other. I beg both to say here that there is no former president in this country that you investigate that you will not find something against. Not just the president, even every other person that has served in government. There must be one thing or the other, no matter how little it is, that has happened.
That's a bit sobering. Okay.
Could it be that you once served in government? Her reaction?
We'll discuss that another time.
Okay, okay. Now, the point is this, I think, whenever government goes out to carry out any policy objective, it must ensure that it does that, goes the entire hog by doing that. Because as it is, Nigerians were really excited that we're going to get a hold on most of these persons. But you find out today what we're having is this prolonged court cases, several injunctions coming here and there. And it's gone up to 3 years or thereabout now. So many of these matters are still in court, and they don't seem to be making any headway. And before you know it, one administration will come in and another would go, and we keep going on that way. So for me, I thought you want to fight corruption. Yes, definitely you should expect that corruption is going to fight back, and violently too, with whatever means. So you pick your targets and you go for it. When you now throw the entire, you make it a wholesome thing, it becomes difficult. Pick a target. Now we're talking about campaign funds. Beyond campaign fundings, there were other sums of money belonging to the public treasury that were looted as well. Majority of what we're hearing today is Mr. A was given so amount of millions to run campaign in so place. In some instances, they don't even know where this money came from. They only gave you. Now, trace it to the root. Who could have disbursed this money, and then pursue that case to its logical conclusion? Let it be seen that justice has been served.
All right. Let's quickly take a look at this story before we move on. Executive Chairman of the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, Debo Adeniran, has called on former Senate President Ibrahim Montu to list his accomplices that helped the PDP rig elections in the past. Adeniran said he should name those who participated in the rigging machinery of the PDP when they imposed themselves on Nigerians against what the ballot said. This case should not be allowed to lie low. The man should be made to account for his deeds. That's what he said. Let's have your take on that.
Well, I think it's interesting to hear from somebody like Mantu to start with, actually coming out to say that the PDP rigged for the 16 years they were there, and he was one of those instruments they used in rigging. I don't want to believe that this is actually new to us. It's no longer news that PDP mastered instrumentality of rigging. And when it was no longer possible for them to perpetuate that, that was when they lost the election. Given all through that time that they ran election against the current president for 3 consecutive times before he eventually won on the 4th time. I think there was one thing that was constant. The 12 million votes for the incumbent president was always constant. If it was somebody outside the government, and all you could garner as an incumbent, knowing fully well what the incumbents usually do in this country, you could garner just about 15 million votes to defeat somebody who was outside. Something must have happened. But I also want to say this, that in this country, rigging are usually both ways, whether you are in power or not in power. But most people tend to rig where they are popular. So if you have control of a particular area, there is always a tendency that you are going to rig the election in that vicinity. Why not? Look at all the governors. How many local government elections have been conducted in their various states that has been won or have been won by opposition party? You hardly see that. How come? Is it that they are the best? Is it that the candidates they present are always the best? Is it that opposition do not actually have power or forces to challenge them in those areas? No, but because rigging has been, the act of rigging in Nigeria have been perpetuated so deeply. Whether it is PDP or AMPP or ACN or AC as it then was, even AD, there's been rigging across board. But now that Mantu has come to confess that he did this,
he should actually name the accomplices.
He should name them.
Okay.
We should start within. We should start with Mantu. Tell us who were those people that ask you to rig and those people you worked with. And I'm sure if he starts singing, there is no way he's not going to sing to the extent of we having somebody who was at a peak at that time.
Okay. I really do hope he sings out loud, because sometimes, you know, sometimes you're not able to sing, even if you want to sing, but well, let's hope.
No, they should give him a very good mic, have an amplifier, and
like
a very
the one
good,
we have in the studio.
yes,
here.
and a very good mixer too. If you have a good mic, an amplifier, a mixer, and the speakers are good enough, I'm sure he will sing very loud for all
Everyone
Nigerians to
can
hear.
Wow. Don't you just like that, Ian?
Well, talk about singers and singers. Well, Mantu has done us a world of good, I must say. It's quite commendable. I think Mantu turned a new leaf, so he claimed. I came across some of his statements some time ago before this almighty confession he just made. He said he had repented, and that everything he's going to be talking about will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I was just waiting to see what will come up next when, bam, he dropped the confession on us. Now, having done so well for us, I think he's helping, to sanitize our electoral process. Good, good. Now, if he has done this, I would expect that others who have been in the fray with him should also toe the same line. Quietly, Mantu did it without any prompting. He wasn't under any coercion or whatever. He came out on his own volition, feeling that, he's done this thing for too long.
And he's remorseful.
Let's change. He says he's tired of being perceived as, a bad man wherever he goes to. People point fingers at him. So I want to believe that so many of his cohorts are feeling the same way too, or they may not understand that particular emotional feeling yet, but just imagine what Mantu is saying. Go out of your own way too and confess. Now we're talking about singers and singers. it may turn out that they wouldn't be coming out to sing as Mantu has done. Well,
backup, they could do a backup.
Mantu, okay. So Mantu could do the singing on his behalf. He's already, I mean, we don't, in modern, music production, sometimes you hear just one voice from start to end. We don't have these backup singers any longer. Mantu has started the song. He should go the entire hog. Since he has led he's led the music, he's led the lyrics, let him come out and name all of those who have been working with him. And I tell us that we might be so shocked at the end of the day that most of the singers are even, in the corridors of power today.
Okay.
Well, just to add to that, I think there are already some backups, even though they have not harmonized the songs in the studio. We still need a very good producer
to train together
to harmonize the song, because even the PDP itself came out very recently to tell us that they were very, very sorry what they did for the 16 years they were there. Using the legal terms, IREM, I also want to believe that this might actually be one of the things they apologize for.
Well, not clearly stated.
Not clearly stated. Not clearly stated.
That's why I said they need to harmonize it.
Yeah,
they need to bring them together. Maybe when you ask the national chairman who apologized on behalf of the party, Mantu just released an album. Can we tie this your own part of the song as a rap to the song so that we have a very good
Okay,
blend?
I can't handle this at this point, please. Well, that really is on a lighter musical note, but let's listen to Nigerians here. 081-8999-1011. If you want to be a part of this, we have a few minutes to pick your calls, and let's hear your reaction to these stories that we have just analyzed on Media Lab this morning. 081-8999-1011. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You're welcome. What's your name?
This is Jamil calling.
All right, Jamil, we're listening.
Yeah, but that means it should be like good to Mantu, Fit, Uyene, and Ruth, it makes sense, a lot of sense.
What are you talking about? There's no Uyene, Ruth in any Mantu thing here.
Yeah, I mean, it can be like the backup singer.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
You come and play bass for us.
Okay, but on a lighter note, federal government is leaving names of looters, like your colleagues, one of your colleagues says, it's an allegation, right? It's like being suspected looters, not like the real looters, because thanks to Pro Bono Chambers that taught us that possible accusation and defamation of character. So if they went, because the court has not found them guilty, but if they later won the case, they can fight another case on the federal government for defamation of character and others. So in as much as I support the federal government and some of their policies, but this one I don't think is the right thing. But it should be like suspected looters. I think I've not been found guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamil.
Yeah.
081-8999-1011. That's the number to call. Let's hear your reaction. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Ruth.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Mike, Fine Wind Blues.
All right, Mike, we're listening.
Yeah, talking about fighting corruption, the initial person that started this anti-corruption fight, Sanjo, establishing EFCC and ICPC, if he had been sincere to himself and to win Nigerians, he should also start from himself. There are things, it's not only about looking money that we should look at in Nigeria, for instance. I was talking about corruption. I could remember there's a report I have at my disposal when Obasanjo was in charge. He traveled to UK. John Deere, an American tractor manufacturer, gave Obasanjo 200 tractors for Nigeria, not for himself. But when he came, when those tractors came, Obasanjo took them to his farm. Yeah, nobody has said anything about that. So what I'm trying to say is, like Abacha, some of you mentioned Abacha in the studio at that time. When Abacha signed the Fair Bank decree, he paid what he was owing banks before he signed that decree. That is how we do things. Though most of those other things we're hearing about from his family because he died, It's another case entirely. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that for you to say I'm going to fight this, you start from yourself. Because like somebody said, no, there is nobody, none of these Nigerian leaders that has nothing in his skeleton. I like there's a quote that by the bankers of 1863. Says any banker or any bank worker who live beyond his or her means should be sacked. I can say this without any fear of favor that there is no public servant in Nigeria today that is not living beyond his or her means. But here we are. Then coming to Mant, if you remember, Ruth, the other day when you brought the chairman of Human Rights Radio, Sodengi, I called and said I know him when Mantu was in power and he's a close ally of Mantu and he attested. My immediate younger brother was the official photojournalist of Mantu when he was the deputy senate president. I know, I can't say exactly, I know most of the things that went down during that time. So for him to come out now, they should encourage him to say it, but like we say in Nigeria, the electoral law, those who are supposed to pilot their affairs are all beneficiaries of the rigging. So where do we head to? So for me, it falls back to we the citizens, we the masses. Some of the things we advocated, some we say who pass them to law. We can implement certain things on our own. Like for example, if we say
all right, you need to really wrap up your thoughts.
Let me wrap up finally. If we can say we're not going to vote or support anybody who is a product of our public schools and was not to our public health facilities, but today, when he cough, he go to abroad or our children are all abroad, we'll never vote or support anybody like that. We have effected change without anybody passing a law. That is my own take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Let's see if we can pick one final call, and then we'll call it a wrap on Media Lab this morning. Sorry about that. Try and call me right back. 081-8999-1011. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. What's your name?
My name is Bello, man. I'm calling you from Guarampa State.
Okay, quickly, please, Bello.
Thank you very much. I think printing the list by this administration printing the looters' name, I think it's a challenge for PDP that if they are the one looted this country from should be published by this administration. I think that is what really happened. And this government came out with some list. And definitely they are the one that ruled this government for 16 years. Proving the corruption from 1960 is not possible. But what I believe is most of our leaders are corrupt. When the President Buhari came in 1983, he proved the past administration government, that is Shagari by then. That is him. Then he still came today. It's proving the past administration. I think to start from a long distance is not possible. But let's start somewhere at least. We need to fight corruption. I don't think there is lopsided in this fighting because we also Senate President in court. Somebody like Senator Rabi Musa Konkoto, we all know many of them were invited by EFCC to come and answer some questions, which in the last administration, something like that never happened. So I don't think it's lopsided. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Well, that's how much we can take on the calls. And for my colleagues in the studio, well, you've listened to some Nigerians, what they had to say about the issues raised and analyzed so far. What can you say in conclusion? Desmond.
Okay, I think their thoughts are not really different from what we have also expressed here in the studio. Nobody is saying that they must start the probe from 1960, but we're also saying that if, for example, you want to do something that is very, very comprehensive, where exactly do you start? Which was a question, the poser I put forward there. Where do you start from? Are we looking at between now and 2010 when former President Goodluck Jonathan took charge? Are we looking at between now and 1999 when democracy returned? Or are we looking at between now and 1960, as it were, when Nigeria gained independence? How are we looking at it? What makes it comprehensive? But by and large, I think the fact that the government has released the list, the first batch, second batch, I think is a step in the right direction for us to start having all of these things. But they must continue to release all the lists. We need to know everybody that has looted our fund. But while doing this, they must also be aware of what legal implications might start rolling in the very near future.
Okay, Ingene.
I want to weigh in from the confession of Senator Mantu. Now, I expect the authorities, could it be the police or law enforcement, to immediately go after Senator Mantu. Because as far as I'm concerned, election rigging is an offense against the state. Because if you have a faulty electoral process, then you're bound to be imposed with, leaders who are not focused, leaders who are not responsible, leaders who eventually may end up plundering the resources of the country. And so for me, the basis is to really get our electoral process sanitized, put it in top shape. So we shouldn't take this Mantu matter with any levity. We should pursue it to its logical conclusion. The police should immediately, they don't need to wait for any complaints from INEC or whomsoever. They should go after Mantu. And by this I mean investigation, thorough investigation should be conducted. And through that, they will be able to fish out others who have been working with him, in cohort with him. It doesn't matter which party they belong. Our focus here is to sanitize the electoral process, because once that is sanitized, corruption, this or that, we have leaders who are responsible, God-fearing, and would always respect our common resources.
I would just want to support what he has said in
quickly.
that respect, because if we sanitize the electoral process, I think it will also de-emphasize the issue of money politics, which will now also bring down the issue of corruption at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. That has been Inyene in-house here, and also Desmond from Fresh News newspaper, online newspaper. Many thanks for being on Media Lab this morning. My name is Ruth. Stay tuned right here on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. The news will be up at 12 noon.
As the fourth estate of the realm, the media stands as the watchman of the nation. On Media Lab, we dissect the news items of the day through the men and women that bring the news to you to give you
Hello and welcome to the news at noon on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM Abuja. My name is Oikeke Igado Kure. The headlines this are: Vice President Yemi Oshibajo says Nigeria is on the path of progress. On the foreign scene is the message: Pope calls for an end to Syria carnage. And in sports, Team Nigeria set for 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia. Details of this and more in a moment. Please do stay with us. And other news in full. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo has assured Nigerians that the country is already moving out of its challenges under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. Oshibajo gave the assurance in an interview with a State House correspondent after joining Christians for a service marking this year's Easter in Abuja. He said Nigeria was already on the path to prosperity and abundance. According to the Vice President, the resurrection of Jesus Christ is a strong and powerful message to the nation, adding that the country is on the path of progress and elevation. Nigeria, according to him, is moving out from all her challenges and is going to a place of greater hope, peace, and prosperity for all citizens. Today is Easter Monday, and it is the season in which Christians mark the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The solemn festival represents the triumph of good over evil and life over death. It is also a time to show love, forgiveness, compassion, and renewed hope in the grace of God. Some people spoke to our correspondents on the celebration this year.
As we dey alive now, we supposed to thank God, even though money no dey. But the one way pass money, now God give us. As they protect us, we dey see food eat. Then our children, they no sick. We dey thank God every day by day. But money, we know say Nigeria go good later by the grace of God. God go help us repair Nigeria. Our leaders, God go enter their mind. God go help them to repair Nigeria. We know say Nigeria go good later. So money go come.
We are grateful to God. We have seen it all to the glory of God. But the only thing is that the usual hive that accompanied the festivities this year was so low because the turnout of the traveling, people exiting the city center of Abuja is so slow. The city is so full with people. People didn't have enough money to even travel. Therefore, it has affected our celebrating with loved ones that we have not seen for quite a while. And we expect that the economy will improve so that the security of the pocket of citizens of Nigeria will be more enriched come next year.
As Christians around the world celebrate Easter, many have urged Nigerians to emulate the virtues of love and sacrifice which Jesus Christ exhibited by dying on the cross. With love, Nigeria would surmount its challenges, and the wanton killings, clashes, kidnappings, theft, and other vices that is bedeviling the society will not exist. As the rift between the National Assembly and the executive over Ajaokuta Steel Company's status continues, some people have said the project is too huge to be abandoned. While the House of Representatives approved the report of a bill seeking to establish a fund for the completion of the steel company, the executive thinks otherwise. Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Kayode Fayemi, said government had concluded that concession was the way to go for the company, as it will not spend a kobo on it again.
Talking about benefits, jobs. I will mention to you that Nigeria Bureau of Statistics released the statistics towards the end of last year that Nigeria has unprecedented youth unemployment of 31.1. When Ajaokuta comes on board, it is not just the youth that will be employed. Women will be employed. Direct employment, indirect employment. At that time, we can go and sign Continental Free Trade Area. We will be the one supplying steel for the entire continent of Africa. So if Nigeria gets this correctly, by bringing the Russia to complete what they've started and manage it with them before you start talking about concession. And if you consider what is not completed, maybe an Indian company that has been managing it will keep managing, and they will manage to the point that some companies that Nigeria is importing from, those companies, they form cartel and they will be paying the piper. And guess what? Whoso pays the piper dictates the tone.
The year they inaugurate Ajaokuta Steel, it gives room for employment to the masses. Now, the government themselves were the one handling that project. Where is that money that the government cannot complete a project and they are looking for privatizations? You are not telling me in Ajaokuta Steel project, individual has money more than the federal government? Privatizing Ajaokuta to individual, to me, is rubbish because it's still going back to the same system. Take, for instance, when we said Ghana must leave this country years back. They left. But today, Ghana is better than Nigeria, and we call ourselves giant of Africa. So what makes us giant? And the money voted for Ajaokuta Steel Company, see the same National House of Assembly, they will still use barrel to split it. Half will go to that place, half will come to their pocket, and nobody asks questions.
No steel industry, no industrialization. So the benefits still stand that if Ajaokuta is finally working, Nigeria will be rest assured that we are on our way to development in all sectors, because all the farm inputs that we are looking, the iron that will be the source to have a tractor Nigeria made will be there, and at the same time all the technological breakthrough that the Asian tigers use as an advantage, we have the premise now. This industry is a gigantic factor in employment creation, especially the skilled workers. Most of our engineers that are being graduated from polytechnics and university, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, they will have something to offer at the steel industry as well as subsidiaries of the industry.
The Ajaokuta Steel Company plant, which has reached 98% completion, needs up to $500 million to complete the remaining 2%. Successful governments have continuously pushed huge funds into the projects that have remained uncompleted for decades now. Kaduna State government has vowed to go ahead with its request to the World Bank for a $350 million loan despite the decision by the Senate that the Nigerian government should not guarantee the facility. The Senate decided not to approve the loan request after a committee headed by Shehu Sani advised against it on the grounds that the state is the second most indebted in the country. Sani, who is the chairman, Senate Committee on Foreign and Domestic Loans, argued that the new loan, if approved, will erode economic viability of that state. But Kaduna State Commissioner for Finance, Suleiman Kwari, in Kaduna the weekend said the excuse given on the floor of the Senate as to the size of the state's loan was baseless. Kwari said it was apparent the lawmakers had put their personal frustrations above the right of the people of the state. Nigerians have called on President Muhammadu Buhari not to delay in efforts to rescue the only Dapchi girl remaining in captivity. The senator representing Yobe East in the National Assembly, Bukar Ibrahim, has said very serious negotiations are ongoing to ensure the release of Lai Shabiru.
Apart from getting the girl out, this Boko Haram issue, the government should try and close it once and for all. Those people doing this, where are they coming from? With all the securities we have. If it means closing the Nigerian borders, close it. If they are in Nigeria, where are they? Let's root them out once and for all. They are budgeting billions of money for these security issues. Billions. It's as if this thing has turned to a business now.
They should put in more effort and make sure that they secure the release of the girl remaining. And I want them to back their words with action, because the parents of those girls will not want to just hear about negotiations going on. What they want to hear and what they want to see is their child coming back to them. So I encourage the federal government of Nigeria to hasten the process of their negotiation so that they will try as much as possible to reunite the girl with her parents.
They know the method they will use to release the remaining one. They know it better than us, so they know what they are doing. My advice now to our leaders is to try as much as to do so that they release the remaining one. They know the method they will use.
The government should try. Let's get this thing cleared up. We are tired of Boko Haram. We have enough security personnel, Air Force, Army, DSS, whoever. They could close Nigerian borders and we should search everywhere in Nigeria, mountain hills, wherever these people are, and root them out. Shikena.
After this, they should ensure that those schools are properly protected and properly secured so that something like this will not repeat itself in the future.
Liel is one of the schoolgirls abducted from Dapchi, Yobe State, by Boko Haram insurgents on February 19. The insurgents later returned all the girls, apart from 5 who died, but held onto Leah Shabiru. Leah was said to have refused to renounce her Christian faith, hence her captors kept her. Today is World Autism Awareness Day. In this year's World Autism Day, special focus is on the importance of empowering women and girls with autism and involving them in policy and decision making. This is necessary because girls with disabilities are less likely to complete primary school and more likely to be marginalized or denied access to education. Women with disabilities have a lower rate of employment than men with disabilities and women without disabilities. To mark this year's celebration, some Nigerians say that people with autism should never be discriminated against.
Whether somebody have disability in whatever form or not, as long as someone is a human being, he or she need to be treated equally.
It's a good initiative by the world body so that certain diseases will not be discriminated against. That discrimination is another problem on its own, on the mind and the character of the victims. And we are also imploring that the citizens should treat these people with care. Nigerians should understand that this disease is something that they can manage with the people that are affected, so that they can live a longer life. Manage in the sense that they are not supposed to be discriminated in the aspect of marriage, work, in the aspect of relating one-on-one, in the aspect of socializing with the society, because these are the things that also kill the willpower of the affected people. They will not even have the spirit to fight the disease because their immune system and their system is down because of stigmatization.
People living with disabilities are human beings like ourselves, and therefore they have the same rights as those people that are not living with any disabilities.
Globally, reports say women and girls with disabilities experience gender-based violence at higher rates and in unique forms owing to discrimination and stigma based on both gender and disability. Reports say no fewer than 15 persons appeared dead, while 55 others sustained injuries in a Sunday night attack by Boko Haram insurgents at Bale community in the outskirts of Maiduguri. The news agency of Nigeria Now reports that echoes from sporadic gunshots and multiple explosions which lasted for hours on Sunday evening were heard from the outskirts of the city. The insurgents were said to have parked the vehicles a few meters away from a security checkpoint and sneaked into the community. Dozens of people, including women and children, were wounded from the explosion and gunshots. However, the commander of the Theatre Command of Operation Lafayette Dole, Major General Rogers Nicholas, denied any death on the side of his soldiers or civilians in that attack. We'll now take a short break. We'll be right back. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. And on the foreign scene, Pope Francis has called for an end to the carnage in Syria during his Easter message from the Vatican. He also asked God to heal the wounds in South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo and urged dialogue on the Korean Peninsula. Pope Francis said the power of the Christian message gave hope to the deprived. This, he said, included migrants and refugees who were so often rejected by today's culture of waste. Thousands of people were in St. Peter's Square to hear him speak from the balcony of the Basilica. According to him, the Easter may be the light that will enlighten the conscience of all political and military leaders to end the wars and ensure that humanitarian laws are respected. During the 5 years of his reign, Pope Francis has been consistently outspoken in condemning the Syrian conflict. In sports, after several months of preparations, Team Nigeria is set to fly the country's flag with confidence at the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Queensland, Gold Coast, Australia from Wednesday, April 4 to 15, floated by the presence of renowned athletes like Commonwealth Games double sprint champion Blessing Okagbere, veteran table tennis player Segun Toriola, among others. Team Nigeria is hoping to do well in Australia. The Commonwealth Games is an international multi-sport event involving athletes from the 53 members of Commonwealth of Nations, formerly known as the British Commonwealth, who were once colonies under the British Empire. The Games was modeled after the Olympic Games and aimed at bringing together the member states in the spirit of unification. Nigeria finished 8th in the 2014 edition of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland, and will aim to better that record by the time curtains fall on the Gold Coast Games in Australia this year. That's the news this hour, but we'd like to remind you that the Vice President, Emil Shibaja, has said that Nigeria is on the path of progress. And on the foreign scene, Easter message, Pope Francis calls for an end to Syria war. And in sports, Team Nigeria set for 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia. Thank you for listening. My name is Oikeke Ikado Kure.